Hello there, this is PosterCentral.com's video blog. Thanks for coming by, I appreciate it. I'm Pete Howard, and this is one of the really older posters that I've ever owned. It's 1934, and it's Duke Ellington, and it absolutely is a fantastic design, an Art-Deco design, I guess you'd call it. It's a tour blank, which means, of course, they used it for many cities. This particular one is Scranton, Pennsylvania. And the first thing I should do, really, is give you a close-up look of the artwork, because it is so fabulolo, as they say. There you have it in Scranton, Tuesday, August 28th, the year again 1934. But look at that artistic rendering of Duke's face and the blue background with the white notes. I believe actually this image has been repurposed for other things going forward. I don't know if it was back in the 30s they did it, or they do it a bit to this day. But it's a classic image, and to think it was used for a concert poster meant to be thrown away the day after the concerts. But this is just, I mean, you can be just a hip-hop fan or a Linkin Park fan or something and still want this on your wall. It's just such a gorgeous timepiece in 1934. But what a beautiful example of American Art Deco, artwork. In fact, I wonder if the original artistic rendition resides somewhere. So Duke was already 35 years old. Of course, he's an absolute incredible pillar and mainstay of American music. But he was 35, and he'd already been fronting this band for about 17 years, started when he was 18 or so. So that already makes it, at the bottom you can see, and his famous orchestra. Even on a really old antique Duke Ellington concert poster, it's already his famous orchestra. But he was definitely up and running big time. I mean, heavens, 17 years going. In this year, 1934, back in the spring, his record Cocktails for Two was #1 for 5 weeks. And a very key Duke Ellington track that he wrote is called Solitude, and he recorded Solitude, the original version, just a couple of weeks after this show in New York. And he also recorded Saddest Tale around those same sessions, and both of those tracks associated with Billie Holiday, who was just coming up into her own in Harlem around this time. So some nice association there, but this, of course, is over in Pennsylvania. Notice under Duke's chin there it says Mills. I'll get it as close as I can. See that? That's Agent Irving Mills, who discovered and signed Duke Ellington. And here on the poster it says Mills Artists, Inc. presents Duke Ellington. And unfortunately, as was the case way back in the old days of recorded music, Irving Mills took 50% of Duke Ellington Incorporated after that. And so he's shown as a result as the co-composer of classic Duke songs like Moon Indigo, Solitude, which we mentioned, Sophisticated Lady, and things like that. That's just the record business back then, not unlike Elvis Presley getting some songwriting credits on some of his 50s hits, even though he didn't pen anything. He just got that credit as part of a business move. But this was sort of the end of Duke's first era, 1934 here, because sadly in 35, the next year, his mom died, and so Duke took a break from his career and took a step back in the breather and stuff. And while he was doing that, the big band swing era really stepped in with a vengeance, and all these bands from Benny Goodman, Tommy Dorsey, Lunsford, Count Basie, Chick Webb, whatever, stepped in, and it was really, it's almost like big band swing rock music back then, if you will. So, and Duke was always more of a mood music kind of guy, so he needed to reposition himself going forward, and of course, as we all know, he did quite well. Well, greetings from another time and place, because I actually found another one of these gems from 3 years later, 1937, in Los Angeles, California. Let's take a closer look there. You've got the Trianon Ballroom. Very scant information up there in the venue box, and in fact no city named. That's pretty unusual, because it kind of limits just how far out you can post an advertising poster like this. Now, of course, every city has its own characteristics, and Los Angeles is a very spread out area, so I don't know, perhaps the right people who would attend this show, everybody in the greater Southern California area, knew where the Trianon Ballroom was. And you've got Saturday, February 6th, nice big red letters, but again, very limited info, just matinee and night given. Well, that means no actual times, no ticket price, or admission price perhaps, no ticket locations, if they indeed sold advance tickets. But, this was the 1930s, and, these posters were still fairly new on the scene, so they were just getting their act together with what information to put across, and every promoter had a different idea of what to do. Now another interesting thing about this that's very old-fashioned, you might notice along the right edge there, there's a round purple stamp. And that says simply within that stamp, Bill Posters and Billers Union Label. Very much a sign of the times for really old posters. And here we come in for another look at this Art Deco masterpiece, I like to call it, just a beauty. And in case you're seeing it and wondering what it is, way down in the lower right-hand corner, very tiny fashion, it says, printed in the USA. Now you see, I didn't mention this in the first poster. See all those white, musical notes around the poster, really adding a nice design element to the poster. But they could also serve a nice function when needed. And that is, additional information could be put in there, when desired. Now I don't have even a photo of a Duke Ellington poster, this design, with those ovals being used. But what I can show you is a picture of a similar poster, which I've blogged separately, by the way, from band leader Jimmy Lunsford from the era. And notice what they did with his white ovals there. You've got different band members' names and other information conveniently put into the ovals. And yes, I have other examples of this poster where that information, the band members' names, would switch out as people, joined or left his big band. So that's nice. I hope to find, I'm sure there must be Duke Ellington posters of this classic design that have some of those ovals, or at least one of them, filled in. In fact, there is one in particular that looks like it's just, waiting to be waiting to be filled in, and that's the big oval to the left of Duke's forehead there. Boy, I'll tell you, whether they're filled in or not, just like this, it is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Just a gorgeous poster. Edward Kennedy Ellington, with one of the greatest posters of the big band era, and very befitting because he was one of the greatest artists of the big band era, and in fact of the 20th century. And what's cool? At the time of this recording, right now as I speak, I can say this concert poster is 80 years old. Wow. 1937 to 2017. Can't wait till I do my first concert poster that's 100 years old someday. In the meantime, we'll take 80. Thanks a lot for your time today. Great fun showing you this stuff, and we'll see you again for something soon. Bye-bye.